What do you do when someone's rage threatens to tear your family apart? But the truth they're hiding is even uglier than their words. The summer heat clung to our small town like a fever, and in our cramped living room, Karen's voice was a storm of its own. Her face, flushed and contorted, loomed over me as she jabbed a manicured finger in my direction. "I will not have that filthy drifter in my house," she shrieked, her eyes bulging with a venom that seemed to pulse from her heavy frame. Karen, my stepmother, had always been a force of nature, loud, unyielding, and quick to judge. Her peroxide blonde hair was teased into a helmet, and her makeup, caked on like armor, only amplified the ferocity of her expression. She wasn't just angry. She was a hurricane of indignation, and my cousin Leo was her latest target. Leo had arrived 2 days ago, his old duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his clothes worn but clean, his smile tentative but warm. He'd been drifting for years, odd jobs, odd towns, a life I barely understood but respected. My dad, before he passed, had always said Leo was good people just lost. So when he called, asking for a place to crash for a few weeks while he sorted out a job, I didn't hesitate. This was my dad's house. After all, even if Karen acted like she owned every inch of it. "You're letting a hobo sleep under my roof." Karen's voice cracked as she paced, her floral dress straining against her broad shoulders. "What's next, Sarah? You gonna invite the whole homeless shelter? He smells like a dumpster, and I know he's stealing from us." I gripped the edge of the couch, my knuckles white. "He's family, Karen. He's not stealing. He's just figuring things out." My voice trembled, but I held her gaze. Leo was upstairs, probably hearing every word, and the thought made my stomach twist. Karen had never liked him, even when we were kids. She'd called him trouble back then, sneering at his scuffed sneakers and hand-me-down jackets. "Family," she spat, her lips curling. "He's a leech. I saw him poking around my jewelry box yesterday. You think I'm stupid? I know his type." She stormed to the kitchen, slamming cabinets as if to punctuate her point. I followed, trying to keep my voice steady. "Karen, he's not touching your stuff. He's been sleeping on the couch, working odd jobs. He's trying." But she wasn't listening. She never did. To her, Leo was a stain on her perfect suburban fantasia, threat to the manicured lawn and the HOA presidency she wore like a crown. The argument spiraled, her accusations growing wilder. She claimed Leo had stolen her antique brooch, then her favorite scarf, then absurdly half a loaf of bread from the pantry. "I'm calling the cops," she finally bellowed, snatching her phone from the counter. My heart pounded. This wasn't just about Leo anymore. It was about control, about her need to dominate every corner of this house, this family. Before I could respond, the front door creaked open, and Leo stepped in, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His face was calm, but his eyes held a quiet storm. "Karen, Sarah, I heard everything," he said, his voice low but steady. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'll leave if that's what you want." Karen whirled on him, her finger now aimed at his chest. "Oh, you're damn right you're leaving. And don't think you're taking anything with you, you thief." Her words dripped with contempt, and I saw Leo flinch, just for a moment, before his expression hardened. "Thief," he repeated, almost to himself. Then, to my surprise, he set the duffel bag on the floor and unzipped it slowly. "You want to talk about stealing, Karen? Let's talk." The room went still. Even Karen paused, her phone still clutched in her hand, her eyes narrowing. I felt a prickle of unease. Leo wasn't the confrontational type, never had been. What was he doing? He reached into the bag and pulled out a small, worn notebook, its pages yellowed and dog-eared. "This," he said, holding it up, was Uncle Mike's. "Your dad's, Sarah. I found it in the attic when I was looking for a blanket last night." His voice was steady, but there was an edge to it, like a blade hidden in velvet. "I didn't steal it. I was going to give it to you. But then I read it." Karen snorted, crossing her arms. "A notebook? What's that supposed to prove? You're still a nobody who doesn't belong here." Leo ignored her, opening the notebook to a marked page. "Uncle Mike wrote about you, Karen. About the day you moved in. About the money he lent you for that business you started, the one that went nowhere. About the jewelry he bought you that you sold behind his back. About the lies you told to keep him under your thumb." The air seemed to vanish from the room. My mouth went dry. Karen's face, usually so red with fury, drained to a sickly white. That's nonsense, she stammered, but her voice wavered. You're making it up. Am I? Leo's eyes locked onto hers, unyielding. He wrote about the brooch, too. The one you're accusing me of stealing. Said you pawned it years ago to cover a gambling debt. Funny how you forgot that part. I stared at him, my mind reeling. My dad's notebook? I'd never known he kept one. And Karen selling his gifts, lying to him? The woman who'd spent years preaching about family values and responsibility was unraveling before my eyes. But then came the twist I never saw coming. The front door opened again, and Mrs. Delaney, our nosy neighbor, stepped inside, her face pale and her hands trembling. She was a quiet woman, always tending her roses, always minding her business until now. I heard the yelling, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. And I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Karen's head snapped toward her. What are you doing here, Evelyn? This is private. Mrs. Delaney took a shaky breath, clutching a small envelope. No, Karen, it's not. I've kept your secret too long. I saw you at the pawn shop 3 years ago. You didn't just sell Mike's brooch. You sold his mother's ring, the one he wanted Sarah to have. I didn't say anything because you begged me not to, but I can't live with it anymore. The room spun. My dad's mother's ring? The one he'd promised me when I turned 18. The one he said carried our family's history? I'd thought it was lost in a move. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, her eyes darting like a trapped animal's. Sarah, Leo said softly, turning to me. There's more in the notebook. Your dad wrote about how he wanted you to have the house, the ring, everything. He knew Karen was difficult. He was trying to protect you. Tears stung my eyes as I took the notebook from him, my fingers brushing the faded ink of my dad's handwriting. Page after page detailed Karen's manipulations, her lies about money, her threats to cut me off from him, her obsession with control. It was like reading the story of my life through his eyes, and it broke my heart. Karen's bravado crumbled. You don't understand, she whispered, her voice small for the first time. I was trying to keep this family together. I made mistakes. Mistakes, I said, my voice shaking with a rage I hadn't known I carried. You sold my grandmother's ring. You lied to my dad. You've been bullying Leo, bullying me for years. And for what? To play queen of this house. She flinched, tears welling in her eyes, but I wasn't done. You don't get to hide behind mistakes anymore, Karen. You've been tearing this family apart, and I'm done letting you. Mrs. Delaney stepped forward, placing the envelope in my hands. This is the pawn ticket, she said quietly. I kept it. You can still get the ring back, Sarah. It's not too late. I looked at Leo, at the notebook, at the woman who'd made my life a battlefield. The truth was out, raw and ugly, and it changed everything. Karen's reign was over not because of her screams, but because of the quiet courage of a cousin I'd underestimated and a neighbor I'd barely known. That night, Karen packed a bag and left, her face a mask of defeat. I didn't ask where she was going. I didn't care. Leo stayed, helping me sort through the notebook, through the memories of a father who'd loved me fiercely. The ring was retrieved the next day, its simple gold band gleaming like a promise kept. Sometimes, the loudest voices hide the darkest secrets. And sometimes, the quiet ones like Leo, like Mrs. Delaney, carry the truth that sets you free. Yendi.